administration to older men improves muscle function, molecular and physiological mechanisms. You are the first author. And well, I want you to explain it, but first, before we get to that, how you came up with the dose. And let me just read the abstract real quick so that the audience knows what we're talking about. You took 12 older men. Holy shit. I can't believe I'm in a category now.
Yeah, over 60, is that what I recall?
I know, like, holy shit, wait a minute. That's me. That's me. God damn.
Right.
Okay. But anyways, 12 older men, serum testosterone between less than 17 nanomoles per liter, which is roughly 480 nanograms per deciliter. They were assigned, it was double-blind, placebo or testinanthate injections. Weekly injections were given for the first month to establish a increased blood test at 1 month, and then biweekly injections until the 6-month time point. So, and then I want you to talk about what happened from the administration and also how you came up. I'm always curious as to when scientists design a study, okay, at what dose was acceptable? What dose were you looking for? Was there a certain plasma level or serum level testosterone?
Yeah, that was easy. That was the easy part. It wasn't as hard as you would think it is. That was a follow-on study to when I was at UTMB in Galveston, Texas. I collaborated with a endocrinologist named Randy Urban, who I think was the last author on one, first author on another, whatever. And we had done a study, which was a 30-day study, looking at the effect of testosterone and anthate on some muscle strength, both upper and lower body, and then muscle protein synthesis. And that's how I got involved with all that. And then we carried it on to this 8-week study, or I'm sorry, 6-month study. So the idea is that, you know, if you look in the literature, everybody defines hypogonadal differently. And what people don't understand, Joey, is that a clinician will not bring you in, run blood work on you and say, okay, your blood testosterone is 350, you're hypogonadal, we need to put you on TRT. They don't do a thing until you complain about it. In other words, when you present with symptoms saying, doc, I'm tired, I'm not recovering, you know, in fact, that's what I do with my PCP, who's, by the way, at the end of my hall, he's on my floor here. And I said, doc, I just can't recover. I realize that I'm older and I'm training and all this stuff. And he just said, you're freaking old, you're freaking old. But I said, okay, let's test it and let's take a look at what we have. So the point is, everybody defines hypogonadal differently, but it doesn't really translate clinically until you come in and say what I just told you. Okay. So then
wait. So if your test levels, let's say it's 200 nanograms per deciliter, but you have no complaints, you're not hypogonadal.
Yes. So in other words, most clinicians aren't inclined to say, hey, you got a low testosterone, you ought to consider this. Or they'll ask questions. Don't forget, Joey, most people over 60 years of age aren't that active. So a lot of that can be hidden. You and I would notice it because you're out paddleboard next number of miles every day. I'm still in the gym. I'm still martial arts. I mean, these are things you notice. And what you notice is, damn, I'm not recovering after that long paddle. Damn, I'm not recovering after that workout. I mean, that's what we really notice. And so that's what I complain about. And so that's what I'm saying. That's what manifests itself clinically as a symptom that the clinician will address if he or she deems necessary. So then what you do, and what we did in these studies, is we set a threshold. It says in the study, it was either 380 or 400 nanograms per deciliter. So you'd have to read through it, but I've done a number of these and defined them slightly differently each way. But the bottom line is, you take the 65-year-old man and you make him 30 years old with testosterone. In other words, you go from 350 to 500. It's just right in the middle. So most assays, the normal range would be somewhere around 200 to 1,000. Okay, that's the normal range. You do a clinical lab. And so you shoot for somewhere in the middle. And what you would do is you start with a dose. The dose doesn't vary much, 125 to 150, sometimes 175 milligrams. And so you start, you test, see where that goes, adjust accordingly. And you can see actually in that paper, there's a nice graph about how we started off and where they ended up over 6 months. And they were pretty much right dead center, like 500, nanograms per deciliter.
Now, does it matter? Okay, so you chose test and anthate. Does it matter, or would it matter if you use test sip, or if you went straight testosterone? Let's say some of the creams they use, it's basically straight test. That's why they apply every day. Would it matter other than what in anthate? You know, you're just fewer injection.
TE and TC, SIP and enanthate are very similar in terms of their pharmacological actions. And I think, again, if you look in literature, people kind of use both and get the same result. The cream was a no-go. And the reason is that one of the things that I noticed very early, and I've long said this, in fact, I've said this in talks at ISSN. In fact, I'm giving a talk this time on dysregulation, hormonal dysregulation of muscle. We're going to present a lot of this data what you and I are talking about. But the point is that you have to get the pharmacokinetics, just like the essential amino acids that I hope you and I talk about. The pharmacokinetics are such that you need that spike to initiate all the sequelae of events that leads to protein turnover, protein synthesis.
Right.
The problem with the there was a one called Androgel, I think. Is that still a product?
Yeah, Androgel. Yeah, that's
Okay.
that's the trade name, I guess.
Yeah, Androgel did not produce that. And in fact, a couple studies done on Androgel showed it really wasn't anabolic. And that's the reason why. And plus you have the problem of if it's on your skin, then it can be transferred to your mate, which a lot of times is a female. And so, you know, that's a big problem when you start giving androgens to females, even if it's secondary. But so the idea is that the testosterone SIP or enanthate, once injected, will give you this curve like this. And this is the part, this apex of the curve is the part that initiates everything, heightens the androgen receptor sensitivity, and starts the whole series of events that lead to protein turnover in the muscle.
So if you took a bath in Androgel, that would work, is what you're saying.
Yeah, no, it doesn't seem, I don't know about that much. You'd probably get a toxicity.
Just like this, rub it on your head.
Yeah,
And just...
no, it didn't seem to have the same, like I said, PK, the pharmacokinetics, and the same effects. So I think that the injection, now the undecanoate, also, we just finished the study with the military at Usarium that showed that undecanoate, which is a one shot, it was like 750 milligrams that we just one shot over a month period, was very efficacious in maintaining lean mass and muscle turnover and all that. And nowadays they use a lot of these pellets for people that are the sub-Q pellets that are implanted in the glute. They're very efficacious also. So
yeah, you beat me to the punch about the test undecanoate. In your study, I think this was JAP. Was it JAP? Yeah, JAP. The dosing, let's see, your dosing was, let me pull this up real quick. What was the dosing? Oh, here, 750 mg. And I assume the reason you chose that is it's very long acting. And you know what? When I first started reading this, I'm like, wow, one shot. Why would you do just one shot? But I guess that's why, because it's long acting.
Well, keep in mind the framework in which we did that. This was a military sustained operations study. Although it was in a laboratory, the idea was to look at what we call SUSOPs, sustained operations in the military. So in other words, the special operators, whether they be Rangers or SEAL teams or whatever, go out and beat themselves up for a period of time. The idea was, look at something like this that would be efficacious over an extended period of time. And so the point is you get the one shot, they go out and the way we had that study constructed is like 3-day cycles, like 2 days would beat the hell out of them and very little sleep, etc., undernourished, etc., 1 day. So it was like a 2-on, 1-off cycle, but it was over 21 days. So they're pretty shattered by the end of it. And the idea was seeing, could we preserve the physiological decline over that standpoint?